Big breath. Come on. Tight on it. Pull. There you go. Come on. Lock it out.
So I'm with Gabriel Velasco. He's a powerlifter I've met at World Gym here in Fayetteville, and thought I'd pick his brain a little bit and see what he had to offer. So, Gabe, who are you?
Gabriel Velasco. I'm CSCS certified. Tied for 10th in the nation, 275 raw with rats at 2,000 total. Best in meet lifts is 800 squat, 530 bench, 690 deadlift.
What kind of education you have? You have a CSCS?
Bachelor of Science, as well as CSCS.
Let's see. So tell me like your history, like why you chose powerlifting, when that started.
So as a kid, I played football 11 years, supposed to play in college, had far too many concussions to continue. Growing up, I watched a lot of strongman, a lot of powerlifting. I always enjoyed it, never had the opportunity to really pursue it until college. My first go out of college, toyed around with it, and I don't think I took it serious until about 24. I'm 30 now, so I have about 6 serious years. Competed about, I believe, 5 years at this point. Handful of competitions, maybe 20 at this point, 10 to 20.
You try anything else before powerlifting? Like
No, I'm pretty simple. So what if I like something, I like it. You know, it's and I think it's a sport. I think I'm built well for the sport, and I've always been the kind of person, if I'm not motivated to, I don't like to try stuff I don't. Doesn't pique my interest.
Yeah.
So it was this strongman. I'm very short for strongman. So that was maybe progression after this, but I really enjoy what I'm doing, and as long as I have interest in it or people want to be coached, then I'll continue doing it.
How many injuries have you had along the way?
More than I should have, but the most prominent, minor pec tears, nothing surgery worthy. SI joint problems continuously. I screwed up glute medius for years. Your typical tendonitis, elbows, lots of shoulder damage. Luckily, nothing torn, major, no surgery, so I'm really happy for that. I had my spine out of place for a little bit. One of my erectors was too tight, and you know how that goes. But everything I've done, like I said, nothing as serious that put me out longer than a month with me not touching the weight. And I think a lot of the stuff, I've changed. A lot of my training styles has changed. My philosophies are the same. Pretty much as they've always been. But my accessory work and all the things I do now are what is going to keep me safe. What is not optimal, but what is optimal for me. And I think a lot of other people, because I used to be a pretty anti-bodybuilding accessory person, Because like on paper, all the other accessories, yes, they're superior, but they're superior on paper. So what I learned was if I can keep something, and then also for my sense of recovery, I'm not really an icer. I don't believe in that. I believe in heat and blood in an area, and there's nothing better for blood in an area than bodybuilding pump work, in my opinion. It's about making use of my time. So a lot of people that I'm training, I'm trying to use very simple progressions. I'm a complete form Nazi to try to keep it as tight as possible. And then we do a lot of stuff. If they are bigger in certain areas and they're stronger, for shoulders, for example, we train shoulders purely like bodybuilders because overhead pressing with a bar, I feel, is too damaging for most athletes that have any sort of tweak to their shoulders. If you bench a lot, you're going to tweak your shoulder eventually. There's who doesn't? But I'm always looking at what is safe and what gets me the end result. And the end result for me is a big bench, a big squat, and a big deadlift. The rest of it really doesn't matter in a sport. So safety becomes paramount.
And we all get injured once in a while. What do you think is the reason you suffered some of those injuries along the way? What did you blame it on?
Because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Still too heavy?
I think I've always been able to push myself beyond my normal limits. I also forgot to add I was having seizures as part of my injury list. Seizured out of me. I had them in training and still didn't meet. But that goes back to my point. I'm not the safest person. I know what I should be doing, but sometimes I think I get wrapped up in what and I think I'm better about that. In the age of the length of where I'm at in my lifting career or whatever, because I don't have to do as stupid of things to progress.
Yeah.
And what was weird is I was holding myself to a different standard as I would hold a client. And that was, when you look at it, it's stupid, right? Because we should both be able to progress with the same things. Granted, the variables are controlled, this and that. Difference is where we're at. But why would I push myself beyond the limit, comfortable, and then push a client to the correct amount? So it took some, everything that I've done, I've tried to learn where I made a mistake, instead of doing injuries and just continuously pushing through, which I can do. But it was, why did this happen? Where did this happen? So like a lot of programming, I believe in basically the old Russian material was my basis, Smolov, Sheko, all the material, super training. So a lot of my stuff is based around that because the reason being is I like hard science. I don't like guesses. Yeah. And this isn't a sport that is super highly researched. This isn't, long distance running or cycling or sprinting. Yeah. So it's a lot of anecdotal, passed down experience. And when I entered the sport, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't that long ago, but it was basically dark ages when you didn't have. There's so much information now, and the sport has grown to social media. You can go on and find a routine that I would say that's a pretty good routine. It wasn't always like that. It was guys running things, strong lifts was around. People who love strong lifts, I think it's great. But for where some people are, I don't think it's the best. So the customization that people jumped on West Side. Nothing against West Side, but is it optimal for people in raw? My answer is no. It's not optimal for me. I know guys who do great on it. One of my teammates, he's done a couple cycles with a West Side influence coach. He does great. But again, with my preference is more, I like pure volume, I like straight weight. And I think that stuff's easier to measure. And I think the residual effects are a more muscular frame, a safer frame,
Yeah. So you've always trained Russian? You've never tried everything?
I've tried everything, and I feel like conservative percentages for a lot of volume is the way to build limit strength within that 3 to 6 range. Then from there, everyone's peaking is a little different. I think it's a lot of it's by feel, especially I think the level I'm at and some of my teammates. You can't go purely on, the book says this or that, if you don't feel right and you have to know yourself. But in those more off-season things, and like, with Alpha Elite, I wrote a couple programs, I ran test groups for just ideas that had simple principles, and I've thrown a couple things here and there. And and really good responses in the 5 rep range, 3 to 5 rep range. If you're stronger there, your potential for a single is higher. There's no doubt about it. It's just, can you rent properly and can you produce the proper form at the time? And as you know, anything above 90%, 95%, proper form becomes it becomes a suggestion, right? But we really strive to try to lock that in where it's something you don't think about. You know, you walk up and with all the nerves that meet people, especially beginners, you don't want to have to think about that. You want it to be something that's fluid. So that's why we just practice. It might be boring, but I think it's the way to progress.
So you mentioned Alpha Elite. You want to go on about that?
Alpha Elite team here. I co-founded with 2 other members. Nick Ramey, he is a 198er, 5th all-time in history. I believe he's number 3 in the nation right now. I'll have to look. Jeff Cotter, number 1 squat this year at 275 all the reps, and he's 2nd in the nation at 275. Just got together and tried to promote in the area, a little bit more powerlifting minded. This is a physique strong area, so I think we've succeeded in that. I do offer training, hands-on and online. Been together about 1.5 years.
How many people do you have training or part of the team?
I think team-wise we have about 6 or 7, and then under us there's numerous people being trained amongst the 3. And just we met other teams. It's been great because we met other teams and it gave us good exposure. Been a good experience overall.
So back to like programming. Do you ever try like non-linear periodization, or do you do mostly linear?
I like linear. I like what works. So if I can give someone linear or give myself linear, and I'm progressing on it. So let's say I have a 2,000 total right now. If I get a 2,030, a 2,050 out of straight linear, I'll take it every day. You know,
Progress is progress.
Progress is progress, and it's something that it's easy to look at. Now, you know, doing stuff in waves, nonlinear undulations like that, conjugate. I think it all has a place. I don't feel as confident in programming because I don't have the experience under. Like I can write linear. I can just wake up out of bed and write a linear program, you know, and things that I just from my own experience in coaching numerous people at different levels. I think nonlinear has a place. I think undulating, conjugate. I think they all are strong. I think athletes should try them all, and they should listen to multiple coaches. Because their coaches have listened to multiple people to get their own concise, and they're educated, this and that, you know. But I think it's important, no matter what I say, I think it's important for people to find a program that is consistent with them and safe, whatever the style may be. And I know, you know, in the climate we're in, some of the major programs are just typical, you know, and that could change. You know, more conjugated, more undulating, this and that. I think it's what is a concise package to a beginner, because most people that are how programs spread like wildfires, not the top guys, you know, exchanging tips because they know what they're doing, but it's the guys catch on to what a top guy is doing or what a top guy is, the product that he's selling. So I think we'll see, and I think the top 10, let's take theoretically the top strongest guys in the world, top 10. I think all of them have different theories, you know. That's what's interesting about powerlifting and strongman relative to Olympic lifting and bodybuilding. I think that there's a little more wiggle room in the previous 2 than the other 2. So Olympic lifting, from what I've seen and what I follow, it's pretty straightforward. Coaches have different theories, but man, it's a lot of what is understood to works. And in bodybuilding, yes, people have a few different theories, but it's just slap the volume on, shorten the rest period, you know? I don't think it's that easy in powerlifting. I don't think it's that easy in strongman.
It's more of a science, it's more variables, I think.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I think for me. If I'm training someone, or my own training is controlling variables.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to, max effort is not something I really do often. If I can hit something in a controlled state, controlled variables, and it progresses, that one variable I'm working on progresses, whether it be, I tried something that was my previous 3-rep max for 2 sets of 3, or a set of 4. I think that victory, I don't believe in producing failure. Guys that like to fail a lot, that's not my mentality. I'd rather get small victories over and over, and I get used to winning. Used to completing lifts, so it's odd when I miss a lift, I think that's been successful for me, and also injury prevention wise, because I think the more max stuff, those freak injuries are definitely more common. So I don't know, it's just my experience, and whatever your basic research that all of us learn is pretty much back from that, and it's from old Soviet materials, right? There's a place, and I think it's still what we were saying about there being wiggle room. There's still a lot of room for us to grow as coaches and then as athletes, because until someone comes out who's #1 in the world, above and beyond, says this is the way to do it, everyone responds to it, we're always going to have numerous styles. You can't say one style is king by any means, because of, like you said, the variables. Every person, you can't take someone who's 400 pounds, someone who's 100 pounds, and run the same stuff exactly. It's not possible. Their variables are so different. Not to mention their lifestyle choices and their food and all this other. There's so many things that go into it just for a sport of 3 lifts.
So that was the next thing I was going to ask you was about nutrition. Do you make that a big, or do you make meal plans, or you just kind of eat everything inside?
I like to make it not a meal plan for someone I'm coaching. I like to make restrictions. So I don't believe that doing meal plans for, again, I'm 280. One of my clients is 115 female. I could write up all these calories, I could, but I don't know what she's doing. My biggest thing is, I like to go by priority list. Priority number 1 is performance, always, right? Then from there, it's up to the client. Is it, their aesthetics, their hypertrophy, flexibility, overall health. Then we start playing with all the stuff. But performance is number 1 for me. So nutrition is performance minded. So one thing I do like to do is, if you are trying to correct your body composition, I don't believe there's a point of carbohydrates at breakfast or any far from workout. Peri-workout carbohydrates, I believe, is the way to go. Then from there, your choices. We all know we know what we're doing. Everyone knows if you need to be taught you should be eating chicken instead of Cheetos. We need to go back much farther. But I like to give those restrictions. I like people to be well fed. And that's plain and simple. I like to do things. Basically, I put parameters, paleo plus a carbohydrate. I love jasmine rice. Some people love sweet potatoes. I don't have to do that. I think they're all fairly equal until you start getting to these shredded 6% body fat body weight, right? Start splitting hairs here. What I care about is, can you perform every single time, and are you willing to eat that every single time? And that is what I think gets lost when people write a meal plan, or they present a program, this and that. It's, are people able to do it? And are they willing to do it over and over and over? Because we could have the perfect meal, but if it's 1 out of 30 meals, it's not going to do shit. And you know that.
Yeah, you told me that when you prepped me for my first competition. I was asking what's the best thing to eat for, and you just said, what's your comfort food?
Right. And I think
whatever makes you happy.
Yes, and it's a mental sport as well as the other extreme sports, and the athletic sports. So if you can take someone who's a beginner, I think my mentality is different than yours, and you've seen some of my teammates, our mentality is different than someone off the street or someone new or even intermediate. So what keeps them motivated? What keeps them confident, trusting that they can get this weight, that they can stay safe, and someone who's underfed or eating something they don't want to, plus the daily stressors, I don't want to deal with any of that. I want them to perform. And if they're, very simple. If If we need to gain weight, we're going to add more food than what they're at their homeostatic state right now. Even if it's unmeasured, you know if you add another meal, you know it's another meal, right? If you're overweight, we're going to pull carbohydrates out until peri-workout. If that doesn't fix the problem, then we can go into all this other things, you know. And supplement-wise, fish oil is impossible to beat, absolutely necessary here. Make a multivitamin, and that should be the base of everyone. Because if we start throwing things at people to fill gaps we don't even know they have, you know, like without blood work and without, you know, some other beyond our medical expertise, we can't just say take magnesium, take this, because we don't know they're deficient in it. But we can for sure say fish oils is not going to be harmful up to a certain point, and then a multivitamin is not harmful to anyone. So I can say that with confidence until I start seeing an athlete in their, you know, their day-to-days and interactions. You know?
So speaking of newbies and people who are just now getting into powerlifting, both nutrition and training wise, what are like just tips or secrets you found along the way? Like the greatest way to either get through a plateau or to start seeing those beginner gains the quickest? What kind of, do you tell them to get on that rushing plan?
I believe they should do something that is a power building, it's kind of a dumb term, but power building minded. Because the more muscular you are, the higher capacity of strength you have. And you can do, in your beginning levels, you can do two things at once. Like I have a guy that, in my day job, 6'3", probably 350, not a good 350, right? And he's the same guy, he's never touched a weight in his life. And the best advice I ever got was you put someone on the worst program ever, and if they do it for a year, they're better off than the person with the best program ever who did it once a month, right? And it's the same way I view nutrition for him in the same way. Yeah, we can give him this package deal, but is he gonna do it? Probably not, because he's not doing it now, right? And what is sustainable for him, what it changes his homeostasis at the moment, and that is anything else, you know? So I think beginners really is believing in the process. And any power building routine, like, you know, 5x5 is beautiful. I think it's magic. I think it's, anytime someone comes to me that, hey, where should I start, where should I do this, where should I do this? 5x5 is the base. And from there you can start adjusting. I think it's the perfect amount of volume for compounds. And then from there you can throw in, like I said, your priority list. You know, is the flexibility, is he an athlete, does he need speed work, does he need this and that? You can start tossing stuff in, your plyometrics. And if they want to get more muscular, throw hypertrophy work on it. You can stack these things, and I'm sort of congruent in that sense where some people, you know, they don't believe. I was talking about this with someone else. There's this viewpoint that in the 70s, the golden era of powerlifting in the 70s, right? You look at the powerlifters and the bodylifters at that time, they were both muscular and both strong. Their trainings were somewhat closer to each other than we have now. And then, I don't know what happened, but we feel like it's two different entities now. It doesn't have to be. Guys can get bigger and stronger at the same time.
It looks like you can step on physique.
Right.
Stage.
Right.
So.
And that's when I really started to progress, is when I realized, like, I can do both. And both are safe for me.
Yeah.
And they support each other.
Yeah, there's a gray area.
Yeah. And it's like, where you fall in those areas is up to you and your coach or whoever is your hammer. But there's nothing wrong with guys. And when guys get injured in powerlifting and they do nothing, I think it's a terrible mindset.
Yeah.
You can train all types of other muscle groups, right, and keep them. And like one thing that we do when we're out of the meet, we go into pure muscular endurance work, because as anyone knows, during peak, your muscular endurance and your cardio take a big hit in the last 4 weeks or so, 5 weeks. So that was something that I used to not do. I used to take 2 weeks off completely, not touch anything, and then jump right back into a 5x5 sort of ideal. And it wasn't doing me any good in the long run. You know, I thought, okay, I'm doing more. My year, looking at the macro sense, my year I'm doing more heavy work, but in my total's not getting better, it's not working. No matter what my mind thinks, no matter what my bias is, no matter what anyone tells me, if your total's not going up and you can measurably, and your form and everything else is right, you're doing something wrong. And you've got to be honest with yourself to see that. And like even with the science and everything, and every coach, there's things that I think an athlete has to trust themselves to know. You can't take things as law for yourself. You can train 100 people and 99 can respond beautifully, but one might not. A good coach will be able to adjust and see that and work with you. But some people, that's the problem with people out there by themselves, is they'll get this concept that I read this on the internet, this is the golden standard, I'm doing nothing but this. And it's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, you got to be pretty overall well-rounded athlete.
Yes, and I think you should be greedy with your total.
Yeah.
Do anything it takes to get it better and keep yourself safe, So that's something that I think I learned throughout all this, and that's another great advice for beginners is do anything. And like if that requires bodybuilding for you, do so. If that requires body comp rework, do so. And you don't have to be obese to be strong. Yeah. You don't have to be shredded to be strong. It's whatever you believe in the opinions of people you trust and your coach. Do they think it's going to make you better? Give it a shot. And there's ways. There's many ways to get to the end goal here is to be strong and to be healthy in that frame.
Cool. Oh, yeah. Quick timeout.
Hello.
So we took a quick break to answer a phone call, but now I've got some rapid fire questions for you. So the first one is, how important do you think it is to relax the shoulders during deadlift?
That depends on the athlete. Is it a biomechanical advantage? Yes. But I think certain athletes with lever advantages, long arms in this case, that can use it, should. I don't think is a universal thing that's important. I personally do not. I don't think I'm built very well for deadlift. So I'm trying to keep spine neutrality the whole time, all the way up. Is it optimal? I'm going to say no for everyone. But is it optimal for me at this moment? Yes. And I think it's, again, this is athlete to athlete. It's just something that you can't say. It's like benching wide to benching narrow. I'm also a narrow bencher because I'm strong there and I find it safe. There's no way someone can say one is better than the other. Sumo to conventional deadlift. We can split hairs all day and say, oh, the mechanics, the power output, the starting position. But it's what the athlete is most confident in, and what they believe will work and what suits their body, their frame. So I think it's a depend, and I think everyone should try it and give it a shot. If it does not work for you, I will go back to a neutral spine, and then continuously play with it and find it might be something in between, that is a semi-soft position or this and that. Whatever's safe, whatever's effective.
That's what I did. I read kind of a supple leopard, and like with my squat stance, he says keep your toes pointing forward, but turning my feet out,
right.
My head
even 5 degrees.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I personally, the way I coach is you want to set up there at a 5 to 10 degree angle, and then from there you find your comfort where you're strong at. Because again, no one's legs are the same, no two people. So you try to maximize your strengths safely.
And like everyone, especially hips too. The hip is a socket that varies a lot. If it's deep, then every time you're going to flex the hip, the femur can hit the hip and get in the way, so you have to go out. So.
And you can't tell that from looking.
Yeah.
Like none of us can tell that just from looking at someone without further medical screenings. So
yeah. And so for some of the videos I film where I go over form, a lot of the times you don't have to go by it, word by word. You've got to kind of find your comfort zone. So that's important there. So what technique faults do you make on purpose to move more weight without hurting yourself? Which one do you think are the safest or
Where? So you're saying where can I break form?
Yes, because powerlifting, there are ways
Yes.
to, you're not optimal.
I think so. Powerlifting bench, you're taught an elbow tuck to a degree you're comfortable with. Then you flare on the way up. That flare, is it the safest? I'm gonna say no, but does it get the weight going? Yes. So that is a risk I'll put myself under. A squat that, let's say my butt shoots back on a squat, I'm not dumping the bar. I'm gonna attempt to finish it. You know, and I would recommend that for anyone who is at a competitive level. You know, like there's no way you'll make it through your powerlifting career or any sport unscathed. And if you did, you're not training hard. Plain and simple.
Pretty true.
So a few things there. Deadlift, you know, people are going to round their backs near a max, and if that happens, and you're in a knee or a max situation, risk of injury is higher. But I'm not going to say as soon as you round and put it down, like, oh no, I'm going to pass. That doesn't make any sense. You know, the point of it is to risk it to an extent. That's why I believe train safe and then roll the dice to the knee. You know, or if you're doing a mock meet or you're attempting a PR, roll it. It's not going to be pretty. It's a max. You know, so I would do that, but I would never do it in a controlled setting. Don't get used to rounding. Don't get used to letting your elbows flail. You know, don't let any of that become the standard. Let it become the exception to progress.
And so you only do it in a meet, which is important because a lot of people don't compete. So if they're not going to compete, they shouldn't care about how much they're on their max.
And right, if they're testing it and it happens, so be it. But don't ever let that become your standard. You know, feel the difference between correct and incorrect. And if you have to sometimes do incorrect to progress in the max, so be it.
I think we kind of just answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway in case I have a different answer. But what do you think is the biggest problem in powerlifting today?
In terms of training?
Just the most generalized.
I think there's too many fits. I think, and this kind of touches on PED use in the sport, I think we should have one umbrella fed that has a drug tested and a non-drug tested for raw. I don't particularly care about gear. They can do their own thing. And we should have more standards for the sport. I think the measuring of squats is this internet sensation that guys blow up about. And some squats, do they look high? Yes. Did the judge make the call that day? Did 3 judges make the call? Yes. So who are we to say, with this camera angle? I think the complaining gets really old. But all that aside, I think it's in a really good state. Training-wise, I think people watch top people and expect to do the same exact program, or expect to have this where they can go and they can do all this wild shit and expect to get the same outcome. That's not the case. There's different levels of people, and my training will be far different than a guy, a clone of me, with 1,000 total. I think our training will have a lot of difference, and I'm not a very variant person. I do the very boring training for most people, but it's going to be different. Our needs are different, and your needs are always going to be different. Your strength, eventually your max is up to where it becomes your weakness. And people have a hard time sometimes accepting that, but that's part of the sport, is there's always something weak, right? There's always something to be worked on. So you work on that until it's equal, and it could be something else, Those two things, I think a more mature mindset to being a fan, being a spectator, and a little more unity would be nice. And I think just people understanding their level and understanding the work, like I said, with the separation of the bodybuilding and hypertrophy work, do the hypertrophy work. Don't be afraid to do it. And try many things. Don't take anything as law. Try many things and find what works for you specifically.
Well, I just said that because that's why, that's what I found it hard to believe. That's the philosophy I go by, is that you shouldn't just specialize in one thing. You should try everything.
Yes.
You should always find your weakness and strength in that.
Yep.
And even if it means, more powerlifting for a few months, go back to bodybuilding, go back to endurance training.
If you believe that it'll make you better at your specific sport, which in my case is powerlifting, I would stand on my head for 8 hours if I thought it would work, you know? And I just try to look at myself unbiasedly, look at my athletes unbiasedly from my own experience, and I'm saying, what is wrong here? And there's always something wrong. There's something wrong with the top guy in the sport. Why is he not stronger? This sport never ends, you know? It's like sprinting, these other high-intensity sports. There's always room for more. So everything can be done better, and we just have to keep that mind frame that we're never done.
So, going back to what people are asking about, what is the most frequent question clients ask you?
Most frequent, I think it's bench form. I think people are unfamiliar with it, that they're very confused by bench form. Bench is very technical for powerlifting. I don't know if it's what's asked, but I think it's the topic that comes up the most and they are very, very confused with being tight to the bench and then where your elbows are placed in. I personally teach a J curve to the bench. I don't believe the bench is straight up and down for most. You do see people, and you know, but I don't believe that's the case for most people, and that it's a case-to-case thing. That's very confusing to people. So typically that's the biggest thing. People are just, I'm confused by what you're saying. And I try to always, every time I hear it, I try to get it a little bit more clear. And I only spill a little bit each time. I'll give them the most basic cues until they master those, and then we move on to more technical stuff. The squat's far easier to teach people. Deadlift is really a no-brainer.
Do you see a bigger variety in bench form?
I do. Gender matters a lot. And the athlete's size, you know, I think matters because it matters on squat, but a lot of the cues are the same. I think bar placement is what starts to change. A long torso, you're going to want a low bar. If the person's able to low bar in a strong position. And then if someone's more quad dominant, hamstring dominant, you make a few adjustments there. But beyond that, I think it's all generally the same. It's bench that things, you know, and like I know guys that are extremely wide benchers with big arches, and I know guys that are fairly flat, and we're all tricep. I'm basically an all tricep bencher. I'm very narrow. And that's just how it rolls out. And other people ask about cardio. I am a zero cardio guy. Everyone wants to do cardio for some reason. But
studies have shown like you can't do endurance training and strength training.
Oh,
It's not helpful.
and I don't know if people don't want to believe that, but there's other ways to skin the cat in terms of body comp.
Yeah.
And I tell them, you know, if we do high density bodybuilding type stuff and we stop eating crap, we can do the same thing. We don't have to do it. And if I believed it was absolutely necessary, I'd be doing it, you know? But it's those two things. So stop the cardio.
So still on the subject of training, do you think, and this is, it could be a quick answer, it could be a long answer, do you think overtraining is possible?
I believe it's possible in a neurological standpoint, and I believe without proper recovery to connective tissue, I believe that can be overtrained. I have experience in overtraining my nervous system to where I was having seizures while squatting. I had my seizures out of me. That is obviously a nervous system issue. Because muscular-wise, I was strong. You know, I could reproduce, but like I wasn't sleeping, which is one of the telltale signs of the myth of overtraining, right? Wasn't eating the same. So that made me very aware of something you can't be aware of in your nervous system. You know, when your tendons hurt, when your muscles hurt, you know. But you just don't wake up and know, oh, my nervous system's shot, right? We can measure it with speed, the speed of the bar on certain percents, this and that. And I've toyed with that with what limited measure I have here. But you know, deadlift's heavily affected by nervous system. I think bench is probably the least effective. You can still work around that, you know, when your nervous system's down. And that's why some days people are like, oh, I just don't have it today. You know, someone who has the mentality, has everything else going for them, what's the only thing left to compete is their nervous system. right? If you can't fire at the same percent, you're not going to hit the same numbers. It's not possible because that was your max, and your system was letting you fire at theoretically 50%, right, output. Well, if you're at 42%, it's not going to happen. So I think that discourages people because they don't know what's wrong. So in that sense, yes, but can that be fixed by high frequency training, the proper percents? Yes. But if you start doing stupid stuff and you stop eating, stop sleeping, and your workout's going to crap, I'm going to call that overtraining. And I think the term gets tossed around. I think that's what is overtraining in this sport. Other sports, I don't have a clue as in terms of, I'm assuming sprinting, other high intensity sports, it's similar. Olympic lifting is almost a purely neurological sport.
Yeah.
So what is overtraining there?
Yeah.
It's becoming one thing. If you're not hurt and you're not having some mental issues, emotional issues that's stopping you from producing, there's only one thing left. The other, your endurance sports, I'm not familiar with what would be overtraining for them. But I know the tax you put on your nervous system within this sport and the other high intensity sports, I think it should be taken seriously and it should be considered. And I think that's also, with PED use, it can mask that to a point to where you always feel great, your recovery, but, I haven't read enough, there's not enough research on drugs.
Yeah.
That, plain and simple, to where I can say, okay, this drug supports my nervous system recovering 10% faster, 20% faster. If we had that, then I could say for sure the drugs could do it, but we don't, any research on it is kind of shady. And, you can't trust anecdotal, experience-based stuff because it wasn't you, it wasn't measured, you don't know any variables, and I don't personally like that.
Yeah. I'll voice my opinion because I do agree with you on this. The nervous system is usually the only thing you can overtrain, but people eat like crap. So it's not that they're overtraining, they're under recovering.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Yeah. They're training too frequently and they're not giving their body what it needs to recover.
And I was just looking in the frame of elite athlete, but it's true.
Yeah.
Your basic person, your beginner intermediate, they don't know what overtraining is.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is yet. They're not at the point. Like they can't push their body like a high level sprinter, high level powerlifter, Olympic lifter. The damage they can do at 100% is far greater than what a beginner 100% is.
Yeah.
So they don't. Right. The word is overused. Overtraining is too much in everyone's mind. It should be on the back of our minds, but it's in the forefront. And I think that's the problem. Yeah.
I think really we'll wrap it up too across the high intensity and
Yes.
high volume and everything at once. When you start getting blood,
Right.
It's black. Almost.
How stupid is that? Right?
Yeah. I don't want to bash.
Yeah, we'll leave that for another day.
But let's go on to, I've got one last question, and this is kind of another general question. So what are your 3 general fitness rules that you would give to everybody in the world? Like whether it's, no matter what sport they want to train for, what are the 3 big rules or philosophies you live by?
I think frequency and consistency are absolutely paramount. Without them, you're going to fall in crap. I don't care, and honestly, I can have someone come in here and get 80% with proper frequency, proper consistency, and they will probably still progress in one way or the other. That being said, safety. There's no reason to get hurt. It happens, but there's literally no reason to be an idiot and cause it to yourself, because think of someone who's been hurt a lot, and because of being an idiot and other factors, it's absurd to do it to yourself because of a challenge or this and that. So if you have a routine that on paper is safe, don't think, well, I could go up, I could. Yeah, you can do a lot of things, but your risk of injury, none of it's worth it. If you compete at a sport, get hurt doing that. Get hurt doing 100% of the sport. Do not get hurt in training. it's foolish. Think of this. Think of it with your job. Think if we were making millions doing this. There's no way you'd risk. And that's the way you should treat it. As I look at powerlifting and coaching as another job. Like I feel it's my duty to get my total. Otherwise, why do this? You know why? It's not a hobby to me. It's something I really enjoy doing. So you should treat it as so. And I think any athlete who cares about their sport and cares about competing would treat it the same way. Where, you know, don't do the foolish thing. If you want to go have fun after, go have fun, safe fun. But don't treat your sport or your passion as just another thing.
And boss. Let's see if it's still filming. We're good. I got a little bit more.
All right.
What was I gonna say? So that's all the questions. And to add to what you're saying, if you are gonna take things seriously, you do want to be an athlete, come to someone like us.
Correct.
You know what we're doing. You know, ask the professional, and you know you have the certified strength and conditioning specialist certification. You've also got the kinesiology degree.
Yes.
You've got how many years of coaching?
About 5.
5 years. And I mean, you've got that's he's doing awesome.
High level male and females on Alpha Elite. World class. Have 4 members, including myself, going to compete in Australia next year. So we know our shit. Sure.
Yeah. And I came to Gabe too for my first competition to ask about how to cut water weight. He kind of gave me some info on how to do the deloading and getting prepped for the competition itself a few weeks out. And so I wrote a big article on that. I've dropped 22 pounds in 7 days. So if you go read that, that's all thanks to this guy. If you want to give contact info,
Instagram, Gabriel Velasco, CSCS. Alpha Elite, Instagram, Alpha Elite 479. You can get me on Facebook, Gabriel Velasco. Email, Gabriel Velasco, cscs@hotmail.com. Go ahead, add me.
and if you can't spell that, I'll put it in the show notes, so it'll be there.
Yeah, it's
I'll
a
post
hard
links to it. And everything. Other than that, that's everything. So
All right,
I really appreciate it.